Hi, I'm Pooja. I'm a women's executive and leadership coach. And today I'd like to talk about another one of the coaching principles that underlies the work that I do. And that is behaviors over beliefs. Now, what does that mean exactly? That means that taking action is much more likely to shift your internal narrative and mindset than you working on shifting your mindset and then hoping you're going to act in a certain way. So in other words, you are much more likely to act your way into a new way of thinking than think your way into a new way of acting. Let me give you an example. Maybe you're an introvert and you really believe that when you go into team meetings or groups, you don't hold the room. You don't have the executive presence. So your mindset or internal belief or story is, I don't really have executive presence. I don't own the room. And so as a result, when you have meetings where there's senior leaders around or there's big team meetings, you tend to stay quiet, stay in your corner and not say anything. So what I'm telling you is that's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? You're sabotaging yourself. If now you shift that perspective and say, okay, I believe I don't have executive presence, right? I'm worried about that. I'm not going to tell you, oh my gosh, let me help you shift that narrative. You have executive presence. If I told you that as a coach, it's really not going to do anything to you because internally that's what you believe. If instead all I offer is, okay, I accept that you believe that. How about the next time you go into a meeting, grab a seat on the table, go early enough and get a seat on the table instead of standing at the back. How about the next time you go into the meeting, go prepared with 3 questions that you think are valid, that you're truly curious about, that you speak up and ask. How about the next time you go into the meeting, you sit with an upright posture and lean in. All of these things are actions I want you to take. And no, I'm not under any kind of delusion that suddenly everyone's going to think you have tons of executive presence. But I definitely think that the way you will feel after you take any one or the combination of those actions will be different. And here's the thing. The key is to take actions, but the actions are simple experiments that we're running, right? It's much harder for me to tell you, no, you're wrong. You have executive presence. You need to build that. It's much easier for me to say, hey, let's try a bunch of things that I know may sort of increase your presence, if you will, and let's see how you feel, and let's see how you do, and let's see how people respond. The cool thing is, it's easy for me as a coach and for you to experiment and put yourself in that mindset of, I will try something and see what happens, versus feel like I have to wait for the time in which I magically feel more confident or I feel like I have more presence, and then I will be able to show up the way I really want to show up. So behaviors over beliefs, remember this, that you are much more likely to act your way into a new way of thinking than you are to think your way into a new way of acting. And the reason this principle is so important is I find clients, myself included in periods, really stuck because you may think, okay, I'm just not confident enough. I'm not one of those confident people. I'm not one of those people that is really good at coming up with great answers in the moment. That's just not me. I need all the prep time, etc. What that's doing is those underlying beliefs that you keep reminding yourself of every time you put in a new situation just reinforces them. And then that is what ends up happening. If you go to meetings and you sit in the corner and you don't speak up, people will not necessarily notice your executive presence. You may not be giving off any executive presence, right? In the same way, if you're waiting to be confident before you take certain steps, the confidence isn't going to build. The key is take the steps, right? Start small, take small steps, experiment, see what happens, and then see over time, do your beliefs start to shift? I hope that was helpful. Until next time.